Okay, so a quick Dankeschön to Liz's grandmother, Hannelore, for allowing me to borrow her microphone to record videos on, as opposed to using the rubbish one in my laptop. This is because I'm currently in Germany away from my own equipment, so it is a big help that I now have this. Okay, so I am presuming that the way this works is that I Am Bane is pretty much the penultimate episode of Gotham. It's kind of the part one of the final story that will round off the story we have with the young Bruce Wayne and the young Jim Gordon and everything, before segueing into the actual finale, which I think is going to be more of a introduction to Batman and his rogues gallery, more of a epilogue to the show, if anything. And I guess that's the best way they could have really done it. I mean, I think the most convenient thing would have been if David Mazouz and the rest of the cast all sort of grew with this role and grew into Batman and everything, but if they've got to cut it short, they've got to cut it short. And I think to round off the story with a young Bruce Wayne and then sort of have the events that would trigger the Batman to rise and everything happen in these times, and then we get an epilogue to show where he is today and everything, that's a good way of going about it. I think that's the best way we could really ask for at this stage. It's just a huge shame that people didn't tune into the show while it was on, really. And I think one thing that could be attributed to this was the terrible international distribution of the show. I mean, one thing that happened was in the UK, we've aired Season 1, Season 2, and Season 4, but no Season 3. If you want that, you got to go on Netflix. The reason for this was it was on Channel 5 when it was Season 1 and 2, but like it took them forever to get Season 3. They announced it would be out like about a year after Season 3 actually came out, and then that time came when nothing happened, and eventually I guess the rights went to E4. But the fact is, like, that's a whole nation's worth of people that never got the chance to actually properly tune in. Anyway, moving on to the actual sort of reaction to this episode. We'll get, for the spoiler-free part, we're going to start off by saying episode good. Alright, now let's move into spoiler territory. So I'm just going to describe something for you. Gotham City cordoned off, criminals fighting for themselves, fighting for territory, fighting for power. Hugo Strange doing a lot of experiments and everything, working on a mysterious plan. The Joker poisoning Gotham's water supply. And then lots and lots of helicopters coming in shooting missiles onto the city and everything. And all partly because of Hugo Strange's plans. Where does this sound familiar? Yep, that's the plot of Arkham City, which also, I guess, appears to be the plot of Gotham Season 5, with the whole no man's land thing. Rather than just being a section of the city cordoned off, it's the entire city and everything. But that is basically what this story is moving into, is complete Arkham City territory. Even down to Jeremiah Valeska poisoning the water supply with the toxins and everything. It's all very much a very similar story, and I think that there's a chance that might be intentional. I know that they've said, you know, the whole inspiration for this has come lifted from the actual No Man's Land story arc in Batman, and in this episode alone I noticed a lot of Dark Knight Rises inspiration, and it's clear to see that they're drawing from a lot of different source material across all media when it comes to Batman, which is something that I think is really special about Gotham that I'm going to miss, is that they don't just do comic book storylines, they draw ideas from various sources and put them together in one little package. Okay, so to start off, Jim Gordon has been fighting for reunification for Gotham over the course of this season, and literally every time he's come close, something's come up. But now Jeremiah's out of the way. The water supply is clearer. The military are here to check things. It all appears to be going just fine. And better yet, Jim Gordon's baby is going to be born on this day. It's a really nice, optimistic start, but obviously, Gotham being Gotham, something has to stand in the way. And that comes in the form of the newly resurrected Eduardo, who is now Bane. But Bane hasn't come alone. He's accompanied by Walker, who's been kind of a mystery sort of character since Bane's earlier appearance in this season. And Walker basically wants revenge on Gotham, primarily on Bruce Wayne and Barbara Keene. And she kind of holds Bruce Wayne hostage while she has Bane beating Jim Gordon half to death. And she's asking for Bruce Wayne to remember something he's done, a sin he's committed, and everything. And while I was watching this, legitimately, I was right there with Bruce in wondering what the heck this woman wanted him to say, you know? And then, like, when he finally does have the realization, it made me realize that plot points that I thought were dropped from Season 4 have actually been picked back up again. So the big twist is that Walker is actually Nissa Al Ghul, and I guess, like, when she mentioned Ra's al Ghul, I had my money on it being Talia, but it's Nyssa, and these two characters are two pretty interchangeable anyway, to be honest. It just makes it a bit less noncy that she's not going to have a romantic relationship with Bruce, I guess. And she is very ruthless. She's a very, very nasty person. She kind of reminds me a bit of Theo Galavan in how absolutely and utterly merciless and intimidating of a presence she is. She's a good villain. And Bane is kind of her henchman to enact sort of the final will and testament of the Ra's al Ghul legacy, basically. This definitely reminded me a lot of The Dark Knight Rises. In fact, the whole portrayal of Bane in this is very similar to in The Dark Knight Rises, which I actually like, because, to be honest, The Dark Knight Rises is one of the only Batman products that really got me interested in Bane. I understand that he is more than just a luchador wrestler with massive powers and stuff, but I generally find the writing of Bane can be quite uninteresting. So in The Dark Knight Rises, I actually quite enjoyed how Bane was portrayed, and here I enjoyed how Bane was portrayed. I've seen a lot of people having negative things to say about Bane's appearance in this, and I understand it's not kind of what you'd expect, but it very much fits in with Gotham's style and everything. This looks like a Gotham Bane. He's got that sort of macabre, sort of gothic look to him, which I really like. I mean, he looks mean, and he's very mean. He's just as mean as he looks, and that's something I really like about him, is he's a very threatening presence when he's on screen. He's an absolute scene stealer. And that's also good because it does make something of the plots that I wasn't quite so interested in with Bane's role in this. Earlier on in the season we met Eduardo, who's kind of working for the military and being a soldier and everything, and I kind of thought his side of the story was one of the more dull sides of the story. I was like, where is this going? Why is it going in this direction? And a part of me twigged that this is the same actor as Bane, but I thought it might be a different character or something. But now that we've gone in this direction and everything, we had that twist, and now that we're seeing where that's going, I'm actually really happy with the direction that that story took, and I think that's definitely put Season 5 on a much higher level in my estimations than I'd initially thought. And the very same goes for the story regarding Nigma having the chip in his head and everything. We're really going somewhere with Hugo Strange's augmentations as well. We see it get tested out on Jim Gordon, and we see it happen to the military general fella. Although I'm not sure if he already had that chip implanted or not. It's very unclear because they kind of made it so that Jim Gordon sort of checked his head first, and then only at the last minute do we find out that yes, he has been augmented. And this has dire consequence because the League of Shadows is now enacting their final testament with his say-so in ordering airstrikes to destroy Gotham City. So the stakes are pretty much the highest they've ever been. I think this is one of the most action-packed episodes of Gotham that we've had so far, especially with a lot of the combat between Bane and the other characters like Jim Gordon. So Penguin's also about to jump ship, get in his submarine, leave Gotham and everything, with the help of Edward Nygma, but they find that their part has been stolen to pilot the submarine. And I think these two make a great duo once again. I always love seeing Penguin and Riddler together, because they can make for a great comedic duo. Sometimes they've got a bit of rivalry between them and everything, and they're on top form here, like in the way that they work together and everything to find Barbara Keene. There's this moment where they create this weapon against Bane, and they have this look of like sheer childlike glee, like two nerdy kids that just pranked a jock or the teacher or something. But then, like, Bane just sort of walks straight through it, and then suddenly they twig that, you know, Bane is not defeated yet. It's a really great comedic moment. As well as that, how they sort of interact with Barbara Keene now that she's pregnant and everything, sort of baby etiquette with Penguin's case and everything. It's great. They also mention the Riddler and Lee Tompkins plot from Season 4, which I thought had been completely dropped. And they kind of leave it quite ambiguous in regards to how the Riddler feels about her, but it's still very much Lee Tompkins is with Jim Gordon now. And I think they did this in a way that was smart and dignified. I get the feeling this is the kind of thing that was intended to play out over more seasons, but I think they did it well in the end. And speaking of Lee Tompkins, her character's come a long way in sort of accepting Barbara Keene. Same goes for Barbara Keene accepting her as kind of the aunt of her child and everything. Like, I think Barbara Keene has had some of the best character development this season, which I think is great, because I thought in Season 4 she was really outstaying her welcome, but here she's gone down a really good route. Her redemption feels convincing. And it's not like a full-way redemption, but it's sort of like, you're a person of Gotham, this is how you are, but we can be friends and stuff. I like that. And I think we're all putting bets that she's going to die in the next episode. I mean, she even said she doesn't know what to name this child. So if she dies and Lee Tompkins is like, oh, we're going to call it Barbara and everything. I mean, how complicated would it be for Jim Gordon to be the father to this child if Barbara Keane is still in the picture and if he's with Lee Tompkins. I also think, in terms of Alfred going up against Bane, Alfred was on top form this episode, but I was immediately thinking, why are you engaging him? Like, you surely can't beat him. But he goes for the head, which I was saying, oh man, the gunman at the start should have gone for the head. It's exposed. And Alfred does put up a decent fight, but geez, does he get pummeled. And as I had expected, I was saying before the episode, they're going to break someone's back, because it's such a Gotham thing to do. And yes, they broke Alfred's back. And I gotta say, I think this has set up Batman. I think this is the thing where we're supposed to say, we need Bruce to become Batman now and give this guy his just desserts. I mean, I think I speak for all of us when I say Alfred is probably the fan favourite protagonist in this series. He's certainly my favourite of the protagonists. I think Alfred in this season, in this whole series, sorry, is a spectacular rendition of Alfred. He's one of the most likeable characters the show has, and Sean Pertwee plays it brilliantly. He's the best version of Alfred I've ever seen, and to see him in this state makes me want Batman to come in and kick Bane right in the nuts. Obviously, I don't think Bane is still going to be hanging around by the time we get to the 10-year time jump of the finale. And this opens up a new theory for me. We've seen the leaked image of Batman. Now, spoilers for the finale now. We've seen the leaked image of Batman, and they've said that it will probably not be Dave Mazouz wearing that suit. But I see this picture, and it looks like Dave Mazouz is wearing the Batsuit there. He looks like he's got a similar build, he's got a similar sort of facial expression to Dave Mazouz, which leads me to believe that maybe, just maybe, it won't be only the finale in which we see Batman, but maybe in part 2 of the Bane story, Bruce Wayne puts on like a new Batsuit sort of thing and decides it's time to do something about this guy. And we see sort of a young Batman at the very, very start. A bit like what we saw in the early part of Season 4, where he had a sort of a pseudo-Batsuit on. What if that picture that we've seen is not from the finale, but is instead from this? When it comes to Gotham, as a lot of you know, my long-term predictions are usually incorrect, so I wouldn't believe that for a second, to be honest, but I think that would be a really cool idea to go down. Either way, Bane is going to get his just desserts. He's probably one of the meanest villains we've had since Theo Galavan, so I think he really deserves what's coming to him. And I hope what comes to him is a Batman. I'm really hoping that's what we get. In any case, I thought this was a great episode. One of the best we've had this season. One of the best of Gotham in general, I would say, actually. You've got a lot of villains. You've got a really great story. You've got sort of a union against a common foe, which always makes for great Gotham episodes. I think this is going to go down a spectacular route, and I can't wait. So, bring on next week. Wait, what? 4 weeks wait? Are you kidding me? You can't do a mid-season break if it's A, not the middle of the season, and B, your season is like 12 episodes long. What is wrong with you guys and your scheduling? Fox, really? Is this their way of making it last? Oh, well, I guess I'll just make my own Gotham in the meantime. It's cool. Forget about it. Forget you guys. I'll just make my own Gotham. Screw you guys. I'm going home. So, did you enjoy this video? What did you think of I Am Bane? What did you think of the video? Comment below and discuss. And as always, if you are new here and you haven't already, remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and if you've done all that already, well, I can only be so grateful to you. Thank you very much. Anyway, catch you next time, guys, and have a great day.